How's it going, everybody? Welcome in. All right, we got a thin crowd tonight, so we might call an audible and customize what we talk about a little bit to what you guys are interested in. But we'll give it just a minute or two, and we'll see if anybody else pops in. Welcome in, everybody. Good evening. All right, I'm gonna send one more message out, letting everybody know we're getting started, and we will get going. All right. So we got a small crowd tonight, so we might kind of like I mentioned earlier, change the topic up a little bit based on what you guys are most interested in. Maybe turn it into a bit more of a Q&A. But with that said, tonight is scheduled to be the last lecture of our volume price analysis course series, where we're meant to talk about how we've been kind of applying the lessons from the volume price analysis course series and go through a bunch of different examples. But I wanted to start off with a little bit of a survey because I do see some new names in here tonight, or at least names that I haven't seen in a little bit. How many of you have actually been to kind of my last 6-ish weeks of lectures? Any one of them? Have the majority of you been to those last couple lectures, or is the idea of volume price analysis kind of foreign? Yeah, I know KST, that was a new name. I didn't recognize you. Okay, that makes sense. What about everybody else? Okay. So it's not looking like we have a super big crowd of our volume price analysis people today for whatever reason, but that's totally fine. So I think VPA is not foreign, but always down to go. Okay, awesome, cool. Okay, so I want to start off with maybe just kind of opening the door. Maybe yeah, this might be a little bit interesting, but is there any questions or things that anybody in the chat has? That they want me to go over. You guys can feel free to unmute your mics. You can talk, and we can have a conversation about it. But we got such a small group. It kind of makes sense to run it a little bit more like a Q&A and just focus on whatever you all are most interested in tonight, whether it's VPA or, literally anything else on your mind. So I'll open the door up. Anybody have anything that they want to cover tonight? Anything specific? Questions, things that you're struggling with? You can either unmute your mic or put them in the chat, whatever you're feeling. Anybody have something? There's got to be somebody who has a question or something that's confused them recently or something that they want to learn more about that we could discuss. What's going on, Cody? Good to see you. Can we use volume to set up levels? It's an interesting question, KST. What exactly do you mean by that? Like, are you saying looking strictly at volume to set up levels, or using like volume kind of as you set your levels? Is it more like the second piece there? If you could add a little bit more background, KSC, that'd be super. Volume only from previous day. Okay, yeah, let's. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. I know Aaron's been in the VPA classes. We don't have a big group of people who have been in the last few lectures. So we're kind of calling the audible tonight, Aaron, and we're covering whatever you guys are most interested in. So Aaron, if you have anything, feel free to just put it in the chat or unmute your mic. All right. So yeah, KSC, addressing your specific question. So you said, can we use volume only from the previous day to set up levels? The short answer is kind of, and I'll give you kind of the best example that I have. So for example, on a day like, so let me get zoomed in appropriately here. On a day like this is a prime example of a great day to kind of use volume to set levels. I mean, it's not necessarily just volume alone, but this day here that I have highlighted was when we basically heard that all the tariffs would be paused for 90 days or reversed, which was a big deal, right? And I've talked about this a lot in lecture recently, but in any bear market, the biggest thing you want to look for is the fundamental reason the bear market began to end. And this most recent pullback began because of tariffs. And once we start getting headlines that tariffs are going to be canceled or paused, that's a big deal, right? And on this specific day, 4/9, we saw the second biggest day in the S&P, and I think maybe the biggest day ever in the Qs. I can't remember. Print, and we got massive volume. This was 240 million volume. And in terms of using kind of this specific day to set some levels, all you really got to do is pay attention to that close price. Because again, this is a really high volume day. Focus on that close price, right? If we break above that close price, you better not be shorting, because the reason that's so important is the amount of volume that went in to making that candle. So I don't know if this is specifically the question that you were asking, KST, but this it's kind of the one that I spun around and decided to answer. But long story short, if you're trying to use like a prior day's volume to set levels, this would be the most logical way to do it in my mind. When you have a real far above average volume, it obviously helps if you have this real significant news as well to boot. But this is a great example of how you can incorporate the concept that I think you were asking about. Does that answer your question, KST? Sweet. Okay, we got another one from Cody. Looking at Visa on the daily and hourly time frame swinging. What do I think? Yeah, let's kind of run through this whole example and kind of chart this one out. So I haven't looked at this name in a while. So let's clear it up and let's start from scratch here. So I'm sure, as the majority of you know who have been in lecture with me before, I always like to start from the weekly time frame and get our key levels from here. So with a name that this close to all-time highs, I'm always going to mark out those highs, and I like to be pretty precise with this. So I'll just label it 375.51. Get a price tag on, or a name on there for all-time highs. Any other key weekly levels, maybe somewhere around here-ish, and maybe somewhere around here as well. But I probably want to zoom into the daily to see those a little bit more closely. So let's see what we have here. Okay, that's a little bit more clear now. So big level right around this area. Let me remove our oval. And another pretty big level right around here. Those are going to be some of our most important spots. And I'll fine tune this a little bit more just so we can be even more precise. So let's adjust that. Let me just a little bit up. And this one, I can stay right around there. That's fine. And any other levels to watch out for? This one seems to be reasonably important, but I don't think I'll mark it now. And maybe a little trend potentially on the lower time frames, but not going to stress too much about that now. Also, we got a little bit of a lower high or higher low from here. So that's good. The biggest thing that Visa kind of has staring right in our faces is this pretty big gap down. This is going to be a real important level to be paying attention to, and I'll even just adjust this one up to match that just because it's right around in the same area anyway. And this is going to be the more important spot in the short term. So this is kind of what I have on the daily. Nothing really incredibly shocking going on from a price perspective. The bigger concern is what's going on from a volume perspective. We have three pretty significant sell days stacked on top of each other. If we're following our volume price analysis principles here, it's gonna be a little bit of a difficult long with these three big sell bars all stacked up against each other, and we're not getting any significant bull bars. This above average bull volume hasn't really stepped up. So far, not necessarily my favorite setup, but it doesn't look terrible, right? It's not like it's lagging behind the rest of the market too extensively. If we take a look at the moving averages, see where it's at in relation to that. So it just broke back above the 50 simple moving average today. So that's a positive sign. And additionally, it looks like it's just holding above the EMAs. I probably would put just a short-term level right around there, and we could probably go to the hourly to refine that a little bit more. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, and then as far as the hourly, we were above one of the most important levels in the short term, which is right around here. We closed above that spot. So from an hourly perspective, I would say it looks decent. We have a higher low here that printed, starting to move into an uptrend determined by the EMAs. We got two pretty important hourly levels above, something like this 359 area, and the 363 as well. So that'd be what I'm most concerned about. In terms of a long position, I think you could take it off this 354, 50-ish. But again, as I mentioned, it's not my favorite setup. This is a market where it's always a market where I'm continuing to focus on the leading names and themes and that sort of thing. And I don't think Visa really is a leading name right now. Um, anyway, what are your thoughts on that, Cody? Yeah, Aaron. It seems like today's going to be more of a Q&A day, so I will look at or talk about whatever you guys are most interested in, Aaron. So toss some tickers in the chat. Let me know what you think. I don't want to just recite what I think. I want to try to make it about learning too. So I'd love to see what your thoughts are before I tell you mine. But if you really don't have any thoughts, then that's fine too. Okay, Cody says those sell days seem like the buy days are consistent with the amount of volume, and visually from the chart, the sell volume seems like it's matching the buy volume on the day. Correct or far off? Um, so I see what you're saying. If we're looking at these days in specific, I would definitely maintain the argument that not a single one of these bull days um, matches up with any one of these sell days, right? We could see these sell days are twice the volume of basically the biggest bull day. But I do kind of see your point where you're saying like the combined volume of these days matches, maybe the combined volume of these days. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I would offer a counterpoint though, Cody, which is that not only is volume just a total number, but it also is the amount of volume that has occurred over an amount of time, right? And when we see large amounts of volume in short amounts of time, that typically indicates aggression. And I guess one thing that I didn't notice actually. Okay. To your point, Cody, I actually didn't notice that one of the highest volume days was one on a bar looking like this, which would be a perfect volume price anomaly. I thought it was this day for some reason. So to your point, actually this bar kind of helps out more than I gave you credit for earlier because we have a pretty long wick to the downside. We have a bar that made virtually no progress with very far above average volume, which is pretty common to see these at bottoms. We can see that basically every time we got significant above average volume, we found some kind of bottom. Here was a top. Here was just a failed breakout, I guess. But in general, when we see this above average volume, it is typical to see a bottom. And to your point, I actually don't hate this as much as I did before that I noticed what this bar looked like. So that's my bad. Um, yeah, that makes me like it a little bit more. I still don't love this big gap above. Most of the strongest names in the market don't have big gaps like that above. Like for example, we could probably think of something. The best example of the strongest name in the market right now is Hood. I don't think anybody could really disagree that this name is basically leading the entire market higher, and that's not actually true, but it feels that way. And we can see here pretty consistently, there's no major gap ups that it's or gap downs that it has to fight through. It's pretty steadily progressing higher. At least it has over the last 3 months. So a little bit of a different type of setup there. Anyway, yeah. Do you have any follow up questions or comments on that, Cody? Are you in something on Visa? I'm very interested in some of the names. Yeah, let's take a look at a couple of those, Aaron, and then Cody, if you have anything else, I'll come back to you. But hopefully that helps a little bit. Aaron, like some of the fundamentals and volume has been relatively high, not at your computer, but you think the CEO recently bought a solid amount of shares at one and below. Um, yeah, wow, I agree. I think this is a great example of a really big lagger in the market. This has arguably been objectively one of the worst stocks to own over the last 5 years. It has declined basically 99%. So there's no disagreement in saying that this has been a horrible stock to own. But with that said, I also agree with the fact that it does have very far above average volume. And in a lot of our classes, we talk about how this can be a sign of large institutions beginning to accumulate positions. And the interesting piece about this too is we're getting this far above average volume and we haven't really seen much of a move. The stock has effectively tripled from the lows or doubled from the lows, which is obviously big. But still, for a name that's down 99%, it's really nothing. So let's look at this a little bit more closely on the daily. It's an interesting chart, honestly, Aaron. I really don't hate it for something short term, or even if you like the fundamentals of the company here and you think a long term investment is the play. Um, I mean, certainly this is the spot to be considering it. Um, there's no denying that this name is in a downtrend, like through and through. This is fully in a downtrend. However, I also fully recognize and agree with you that the volume is very far above average. I mean, you have huge, massive above average volume days, which is very typically associated with significant bottoms. I kind of like it above right around this 150 area, especially after this inside day today, too. Let's see what it's looking like from a moving average perspective. Oh man, that screwed everything up. Yeah, I honestly really don't hate it. Oh, you got in at one, Aaron? Oh, you're stoked. Yeah, I mean, I'd be trimming some into 150 then if I'm in at one, but I would want to let some ride. If I trim some already, maybe I wouldn't trim again at 154, and I would set my stop above that $1 so I didn't go red. But it doesn't look bad for a short-term move. Now, I can't say that the bottom's permanently in because that would be pretty reckless and irresponsible, but it doesn't look bad, and I really do like the volume a lot. This is a great example of a name to look at from a volume price analysis perspective. I mean, we're seeing everything that we would want to see, right? We're seeing this big bull bar with massive above average volume. Here as well, price stalls out. We see above average volume, which not necessarily a good thing, but in this context, it's not really a bad thing either. When this name popped through the EMAs, we saw record high volume as well. Um, yeah, even on these failed breakouts to the downside, we're seeing very high volume. So overall, the same is trading with a lot of volume. It's never a bad sign to see volume when we're at lows like this. Well, I shouldn't say never, but it's never a bad sign to see volume like this at lows when we're starting to develop some kind of uptrend. Um, so I actually don't hate it at all, Aaron. I kind of like it. I don't. I personally would probably be too scared to buy the breakout above 154 without some kind of extra conviction outside the chart. I would need some kind of fundamental perspective like you have, which I don't have. But the fact that you're in one at one makes this really sweet. It looks nice in the short term. I like it. Archer's one that I've also been stalking a lot. The thing with this one is it just really hasn't been able to hold a breakout for the life of it. I was actually looking to get long on it potentially today. I was hoping to see some kind of retest of this like 1062 area, and we got a retest, but from the wrong direction, a gap below it, then retest it as resistance. For a longer term investment, I think you could probably start considering this 970-ish area. Obviously it would have been great to get in around seven, but I don't hate this $10 range either. It's definitely starting to form up in some kind of pattern. It's got this little wedge look forming to it. I don't love the weakness though, and again, it's another one of these names with this big gap above, which has been making me hesitant. So that's why I really wanted to see like a hold above this 1062, then a retest, because we got this nice volume recently, but it didn't stick. So Archer's one, it feels like I have the same perspective, Aaron. I like, that they work with Anduril. I don't know too much about the company. I know more about their partnerships. Um, I like that part about them. I don't know enough about the company though, and I also I'm trying not to get married to the stock. Like I have reasons that I like it, but I'm trying to be objective, which has been keeping me from entering without some solid confirmation. And because of that, I still remain without a position in this one. Last one that you mentioned is BULL. Yeah, this one is crazy. Uh, wow, it actually doesn't look bad in the short term. It's got a similar look to it like Plug, where it's starting to get this volume. It's kind of moving on the back of Robinhood. I wonder what market cap it's at right now, because I know at one point it was ridiculous. Okay, it's not even out yet. Let's look that up really quick. Oops, bull. Okay, so Weeble's at 5.8 billion. I think Hood is at something crazy at 81 billion. So shocking. Um, yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of the Weeble product at all, which like makes me hesitant to even want to invest in this. But in terms of an options play, I mean, it's
Yo, yo, what up, Toasty?
hey Norman. In terms of an options play, it's not the worst thing ever. If you could catch it off 12, I don't hate that. How are you, Norman? We're looking at charts. All right, I'll take that as you're doing good.
What up, Toasty?
How's it going, dude? We're looking at some charts. You got anything you want to look at?
Well, I swung some Avgo, but can you check some Home Depot?
Yeah, I'll add it to the list and then we'll get to it. We'll loop around and get there. We got a couple people ahead of you, but I like the ideas. I like Avgo. It's a good one. KST asks a good question. Do these significant volume above average indicate institutional buying? Absolutely. And the reason why is because this is billions of dollars that are getting thrown around to create this significant above average volume. This isn't just mom and pop buying. This is buyers with billions upon billions of dollars who are able to put hundreds of millions or even $1 billion into a single stock. And that's why volume can be so telling, is because it kind of gives a window into the conviction of the individuals who are trading it with significant size, right? If we don't see those large amounts of volume to back moves in price, or just back a name in general, automatically it's not going to be an A+ setup for me, just because that high volume or above average volume really does indicate institutional backing. And as traders, all we can really do is find the names that institutions are buying and catch the majority of the move either higher or lower, depending on if they're buying or if they're selling. That's what we can do as traders, right? It's very hard to always sell the top. It's very hard to always buy the bottom. But what we can do is identify when people are selling the top or when people are buying the bottom with significant amounts of money through volume, and then form a trade idea based on that. So, long story short, um, significant above average volume always is going to be important. Always has been, and it always will be. Just to give you a little bit more, because I like talking about this. In today's world, when we have computerized charts and trading, we get to see volume as a subplot at the bottom of the chart. But in the world not too far ago, 20, 30 years ago, when there was hundreds, maybe thousands of people trading at the New York Stock Exchange, the way that you would tell institutional volume and significant attention is by how aggressive people were yelling and pushing and shoving to get their buys and sells in to purchase a name, right? It's like, you're at a concert and everybody's pushing each other to get to the front, right? You can tell people really want to be there. And if that wasn't happening, people aren't that excited about that show. It's the same thing on how stocks used to work, right? That was how trading used to work before everything became computerized. And even before the New York Stock Exchange and people were trading in person, we had the ticker tape, which also showed amounts of volume, right? You could see how many people were trading a given stock on a piece of paper that just continuously printed out. So anyway, that's maybe a little bit more history than you're looking for, but yeah. Okay.
Yo, Toasty, did you see the rotation from some of the tech names? Like, well, you see a dip obviously today, but we see strong buying on Target, Home Depot, Dick's Sporting Goods, Nike. Just a huge rotation. I just seen that right now.
Yeah, check XLF, XLP. Rotation is the key to a bull market, right? If we stay constant, or if investors stay concentrated in a single asset class, or I'll say sector, it's not a sign of a sustainable market. So when we start to see, IWM, like we did today, had a 2% day at one point, trailed off to one. RSP holding up strongly as well, one of the biggest days for the equal weight. S&P, even QQQE, I'm sure also had a good day. Yeah, QQQE, the equal weighted Qs set a new all time high today. So breadth is great for the overall market, right? Seeing money spread out, seeing money move to different sectors, that is all positive. There's not a damn thing wrong with that. It's a very clear indication of a healthy bull market, and it's exactly something that we should want to see and welcome as traders who are typically focused on the long side of the game.
Yo, Toasty, question before you get started. I know I ask so many questions all the time, right? So considering laggers like the ones I just mentioned, like Target, it's pretty much it's been decimated year to date, but you think these are the names that are going to do a little bit of catch up considering the rotation?
That is one of the smarter things I've heard you say in a while, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable thesis. Obviously, one day of price action isn't enough to say, yep, the bottom's in on these consumer staples. So we shouldn't go out of our way in starting to make that claim. But after today, it certainly is clear again that it's money starting to move into these areas of the market. And we don't necessarily need to pick the one that's the most beaten down, like Target. Like I'm sure Home Depot is looking a little bit better. Maybe a name like Lowe's, okay, not quite better. Um, a name like Walmart, which was a previous leader. This could be a good name to watch out for. Costco is always a good one. This name didn't quite pick up the rotation today. But yeah, Norman, in general, I agree with you.
All right, thanks, man.
And I really want you to focus on those thoughts because those are good, smart ideas. All right. Josh asked about Meta. You've been eyeing 740.91 for a week now and you missed it. What, for like a short or 740.91? 740.91. Yeah, in terms of Meta, I mean, this name just printed new all-time highs yesterday. Not too much volume on the failed breakout, and until proven guilty, this name's still in an uptrend. It's just right now, this is a retest in my mind. We got all-time highs right around here, and also this key horizontal level in the EMAs. To me, this is still a retest, not a failed breakout. I could be dead wrong, but in my book, it's a much needed pullback for a lot of the market today. I mean, you take a look at the S&P, which closed flat still. I mean, just look how extended it is from the moving averages. Very typically, when we get this much extension from the moving averages, we see some kind of consolidation, which we saw just not too long ago. We were 2% above the moving averages here. We got a pullback here. We were about 1.5%, so getting close to that overextension. But just looking left on the chart, you can see every time we get around 2% above the moving averages, we see some kind of pullback or consolidation, right? It's very common, not a damn thing wrong with it. And I would make the argument that Meta is just doing the same thing until proven otherwise. DG Dollar General, let's take a look at that. This one looks interesting. This is really interesting, actually. It's working on filling a massive gap. I mean, check this out. You got this gap here that it's been working on filling, and it just printed this gap here. I mean, this actually looks pretty good, honestly, at least in the short term. It's breaking out above that 114.60 or 115 spot. I don't hate it. Again, it fits into the same bucket as kind of the rest of the things I've talked about that aren't leading the market higher. There's always going to be reason for a little bit of concern there. Not necessarily that you can't trade it, but maybe a reason to put a little bit less size into the position, especially a name that's this badly beaten down. But zooming out a little bit, from a volume price analysis perspective, A lot of volume down here at the lows. We haven't gotten this much above average volume on this name in a while. A decent amount room up into that next level of resistance. The only thing to watch out for is these longer term moving averages, which we're back above the 50 simple, and the 200 simple is way up at 167. So it actually doesn't sound too bad.
Yo, Toasty, I took a swing on Avgo for next week. Those 280s. You think I should get out tomorrow or just swing that bat?
We'll get there. I'm gonna get to Avgo and I'm gonna get to Home Depot for you. All right.
For sure. I think somebody asked about Archer. You should go over that first.
We'll do that. We'll do Archer, then we'll do Avgo, then we'll do HD. All right, we got the bank from TIV. This one, just like the rest of the financials, started breaking out today.
That's a
Nice break
banger
above
stock.
prior highs. What'd you say, Norman?
That's a banger stock right there, Archer.
This is Bank of America, bro. Anyway, Bank of America hitting new all-time highs, or is it new all-time highs? New short-term highs. Yeah, not new all-time highs, but new 52-week highs. Uh, Obviously, the banks look good. The entire financial sector is breaking out. I wouldn't say that this is probably the place to buy. Probably want to wait for some kind of pullback or pray for one. But all banks look good. Obviously, they're all breaking out, and they look like they want more. But I would probably not enter the banks long yet, if you weren't already in. It's a little late right now. All right. Archer's partnership with Anduril. Yeah, do I think Archer's partnership with Anduril could be bad for them? Honestly, I haven't looked into it enough, Aaron. I am not as educated on exactly what their partnership is. I just know they have one. Um, yeah, the answer is I have no idea if it would be good or bad for them. You mentioned like absorbing them and killing the stock price. I would argue that especially like the way Anduril has been moving, if Anduril did absorb Archer, uh, it wouldn't kill the stock price, and that's just with most acquisitions. I don't know enough about Archer's balance sheet, but in general, acquisitions are at a premium to the stock price. Most recent acquisitions that we've seen have all been, at minimum a 10% premium to stock price. Open Door was one, US Steel was one. Obviously, Twitter was a huge premium to the current stock price, but that's maybe a little bit of a different story. I can't think of other acquisitions in recent history that come to mind, but U.S. Steel, Twitter, and Open Door, I believe it was. I know the ticker was Open, were ones that come to mind. But yeah, typically acquisitions are at a premium to the stock price. So in theory, an acquisition would be good for stock price, because typically the company doesn't just say, "I'll give you, whatever your market cap is and money to come with me." They give them a premium to make it a little harder to say no. But anyway, you never know, right? I mean, they could do some kind of hostile takeover where they get, 10+%. So they get voting interest on the board or something and restructure the company and, then make the stock price drop. But I think we're getting a little bit too deep. That would be something more in line with what's been happening to Southwest, which actually seems to be holding up all right for now.
Didn't Archer acquire the Olympic contract?
I have no clue, honestly, Norman. All right, Norman, let's look at the names that you talked about. So AV Go, that's been one of my watch list names. Actually, I've been watching this one pretty closely. Um, Today, again, in my book, just like we talked about in Meta, is just a retest for now, right? Until proven otherwise, all this is a retest. This name was super extended from the EMAs yesterday, and it just came back and tagged them. That's all it did. So I actually like longs on this name. I don't like a full size position. I prefer a full size position after seeing some more basing action like this. Me personally, I feel a little bit less comfortable just trying to get full size on a bounce as opposed to like some more clear consolidation. Um, but anyway, I still like it. It's still in an uptrend. It's still leading the market higher. I assume CRWD looks very similar. Well, CRWD looks a little bit worse because it made a new high and a fresh low today. But same idea, right? I mean, all this is doing is just retesting prior levels. So Until proven otherwise, a lot of retests across the market in my book today, but nothing really super concerning. So you mentioned you're in a July swing for Avigo, right, Norman?
No, for next week. Yeah, I just got it today. It's only one contract, but
That's good. Yeah, only one contract is good. Yeah, I'd rather go small. And Norman, I don't know how what you typically trade, but don't be afraid to add a little bit more time. Um, yeah, go monthlies or 2 weeks if you want. I always like to I always like to have a little bit more time personally, and especially with the way that your ideas work, you're typically looking for longer term moves or larger themes, which don't play out in just a couple of days. So do yourself a favor if you feel comfortable and add a little bit more time or buy shares or something. But anyway, that's just an opinion. All right. Last one that you had mentioned, Norman, was HD. Oops, what's going on right there? Yeah, I mean, definitely rotation of this name. You got the 200 moving average above. For me, not super interested in an entry until we get some kind of like tighter consolidation at this point or above the 200, but it looks decent. I mean, it's held up reasonably well. Um, yeah, came back and retested this prior level during tariffs. Um, yeah, I don't have anything too crazy to say about it, though, to be honest.
thanks, Toasty.
You got it, Norman. Nice idea in AV Go. I like it. DraftKings. Have not thought about this name in a long time. And it looks like it is still just hanging out around where it was the last time I looked at it. It looks decent though. Let's figure out why I have this 42.2 level here though. Okay. This is a really old level. Look at that. Um, I don't know if I really care about these levels anymore, so let's just redo this. Yeah, I have no idea what that's from, but let's just act like that wasn't there and let's start from scratch again here. It's probably some kind of trend that I would draw there. And then prior highs. I'm just rushing a little bit, but let's get some levels on here.
How's that NBIS trade going for you, Toasty?
Slow. It's up 10%, down 10%. It's not a quick mover. Well, it is a quick mover, but it doesn't hold its moves. Kind of concerning. I'll get back to DraftKings real quick. Let's look at NBIS. That's a good question. This name today or yesterday it was up like what 7%. Today it was down 9. So the way this name moves is kind of wild. I first got in it here, I believe. I think where was it? 46 maybe 46.85. You said what?
Yeah, it was 46 when you got in, remember?
I think it was 46.85, not 46. I was a little higher because I believe I don't have it charted anymore. But at the time, this was my stop, 46.85, and it pulled back to that, and that's when I took it. Um, anyway, yeah, it's you can see it's done the same thing twice now, where it's had a big day and then a move right back into the EMAs. So I'm treating this same move that we got today as the same thing as happened just a couple days ago. I could be wrong. Who really knows? But I really want to see these all-time highs break, Norman. I really want to see this thing rip.
Yep. Gonna go
But
to
it's
bro.
you said what?
I think this thing's gonna go to 70 easy, bro.
So I need that, bro. I need the good vibes from you to make that happen. I want it to go to 100. You think it can do that?
Yeah, maybe by the end of the year.
150.
All right, Toasty, you're asking for too much, bro.
No, I mean in the short term, I really want to see it hold these all-time highs. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, back to DraftKings. Okay. Yeah, so DraftKings doesn't look too bad in the short term. It's fighting this trend right here on the daily. But it looks overall fine. I don't hate it personally. Um, yeah, held exactly where it needed to, 41.50. I don't think it's the best setup in the market, but I think it's tradable. Um, yeah, you guys will hear me say a lot of setups aren't the best setups in the market. I'm at a point where I'm really picky about everything, and if the stars don't align, near perfectly, I try my best to stay away. That doesn't mean the trade won't work. It just means it's not really for me. I'm at a point where I take, a couple trades a month, really. So it's just got to be right. Um, anyway, yeah, I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it looks very reasonable. Um, Weekly has been doing nothing for a while, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You got a little bit of like I think River would call this a higher low double bottom. Um, yeah, overall looks decent. I don't hate it.
Yo, Toasty, you think Nike's ready for 100?
Whoa, what the hell happened here? Why is this ripping all of a sudden? Let's see.
I don't know. These are the setups I like because I don't like chasing like obviously sometimes I chase like stuff that's just all-time highs, but I'm kind of leaning more to setups like this.
I mean, to your point, this thing is still up massively after earnings. If I was going to trade it, it would be a short term trade above this post earnings high, 74.20. And I would even look here. Uh, yeah. If I was going to trade it, I would hit it. Okay. So when you trade an earnings report like this, or a name that just reported earnings like this, there's kind of two spots to pay attention to. The high from pre market or after hours when it had the report, and the high of the day after it had the report. So those are the two spots to watch out for right now. So if I'm going to trade it, it'd probably be a day trade or a short term swing, and it'd be above this 74.16 or hit it at right around 70. That's probably what I would do.
I really like how the moving averages are like just right under the price.
Yeah, I also like that it cleared the 200 as well. That was a big one today. It made it above the 200 simple moving average. It's still absolutely in a long-term downtrend. I want to make that clear. So you got to be careful when that's the case. But anyway, I don't hate it.
You want to see a crazy one, Toasty? B
Sure, let's see. We'll see one more crazy one.
BMNR.
What is it?
BMNR.
Bitmine immersion. Oh my God. What is this? What is it? What is it? Bitcoin?
I have no idea, bro. I just saw this shit today. I'm like, oh, it looks like a pump and dump.
What is this on the? Oh yeah, here you go. Let's see what they do. It's supposed to be the Ethereum MSTR. Tom Lee joins Ethereum Treasury
No
Company.
way. That's a fucking MSTR IPO.
Oh my God.
What the hell?
Tom Lee. Wow. Of course. So they've been around for not very long. Just the beginning of June. That's so wild. They IPO'd at 7, they dropped to 4, and now they're at hit 74 today.
And it's
What
up
this looked like intraday.
100%.
Yeah, I'll leave this one to you, Norman. This is a sick one, though.
Nah, it's just I just want to show you, but
It's
yeah,
different.
let's stay away from these for sure.
Good. All right. Well, is there any other questions that I can answer, charts that we want to look at before we call it? A little bit of a different one. All right. Laura wants IWM. Yeah, let's take a look at that. IWM is a good one for today. Um, so IWM, I can't type it. IWM was green today when the rest of the market wasn't. It also cleared the 200 simple moving average for the first time since February. So it's been below the 200 simple for a long time. Um, yeah, IWM for the past 5 years has basically done nothing. It's basically gone nowhere. Um, so looking at it in the short term, it's kind of encouraging to start to see it do something and start following through above these shorter term pivots. Next level to watch out for. I don't even. Let's see. Let's do this. Yeah, there you go. I had a feeling there was going to be something. So you got the volume point of control right around 221. That's going to be an important spot, and it looks like it tagged it today. Um, yeah, overall, it's still a strong name. Just broke out today. Um, yeah, I don't have a trade on it personally. Um, it's, if I was going to enter, it probably would have been above 215.71, which has now came and went. Um, but I like it. It looks still good. It's got a nice healthy uptrend to it so far. Still in lower high territory here on the daily, but I like it. It's moving real nice. From a volume price analysis perspective, it's nice to see some above average volume as we follow through on that breakout. Nice to see above average volume as we hold the EMAs too. All positive signs for sure. UNH, yeah, I've been seeing people talking about UNH more recently.
Yo, Toasty, I hit a nasty XPX put. This shit was wild, bro.
What did you do here? You what? Bought it at 50 and sold it at 5.5?
Yeah.
Charge your phone, bro. UNH, yeah, this is an interesting one. This one has absolutely been beaten down. I think it's down over 50%. At least it was, yeah, way over 50%. Um, I don't know specifically. I don't know if it has anything to do with the CEO thing or what happened. Um, yeah. Anyway, starting to show some signs of life. It's got some short-term trade potential here, but at the end of the day, this one is still in a downtrend for me, and also sitting right below this massive gap. It's one that if you're a long-term investor, it's maybe a good spot to consider a buy. And also is kind of breaking out in the short term as well. It's nice to see these EMAs finally starting to flip positive. Um, yeah, I don't hate it if you're trying to bottom fish, but not exactly the type of market leader that I'm in the market for. Um, but I don't hate it, honestly. I mean, again, it's a nice one in my opinion for the short term. Caught a little bit of the rotation today, which is a positive. So yeah, I'm not super opposed to it. And
Is that
it's at a
UNH?
yeah,
Damn, I was talking to this name about Nando that the longer it goes like sideways, the bigger the move up.
for
Or down.
what UNH
No, just in general, like when a stock just actually just consolidates sideways, 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 either has a gap up or a gap down, and it literally gapped up right there.
I guess. I mean, it doesn't always, but yeah, I guess. Anyway, yeah, UNH. I don't have too much of an opinion to be honest. Yeah, I don't know enough about why it moved lower in the first place. Not that that's important, but in the short term, I don't hate trading it off like this 318 area, this prior lawsuit. Yeah, there you go. That'll do it. Yeah, so if that's what it's trading off of, the main thing that you want to watch out for is if there's any like headlines that are being released that are showing progress on the lawsuit. Obviously you can't time that, right? Or if they come overnight. But if you see news like that hit during the day, you're going to want to get long as soon as possible because once it's clear that, whatever headwind that the company is dealing with is off the table, you're going to want to be long. Um, it's a great example. It's feels to me that you mentioned the lawsuit. It feels just like the tariffs, right? Obviously, once the market found out about tariffs, it hated every second of it. But once we started to see some progress, it loved every second of it, and the market loves to see that. Um, so anyway, all
Thanks.
right. Any last tickers?
The good old legend SMCI.
Oh yeah, we'll look at that one. SMCI. It's at the only level that I have, Norton. 49. I don't hate longs above 49. It looks okay. I like the base too. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I actually don't think it looks terrible here. Yeah, but it doesn't look that bad. I like it at 46 or above 49. Honestly, this is a fine trade. It's actually starting to look kind of good. It's finally getting a nice longer term base here. where it can actually settle. Um, yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade, honestly.
Is that a gap all the way up to that 67 area?
No, not all the way up to 67. It's just right here. It's between like 50 and 52, and then there's another one between 66 and 64, and then there's another one between 86 and 84, but not one big one.
Wow, that's pretty pretty big, man.
I mean, they're all a couple separate ones. This one already got filled by that wick, and this one's still open, but that'll get filled eventually. Yeah, I don't hate it. Cool. Well, this was definitely a little bit of an interesting one. Sorry we kind of deviated from the plan a little bit, but long story short, we have a new course series starting soon. It's going to be for intermediate traders. It's going to be kind of in a more advanced content than the beginners course series. So I'm hoping a lot of people are excited about it, and I hope to see you there, Norman.
Yeah,
Cool.
you already know, man. Count me in.
All right. Well, I will. I'll be counting on you.
Yes, sir.
All
Yo,
right, everybody.
you owe me some
That's
chicken
going
tenders,
to
bro.
what?
You still owe me some canes.
We'll get out there eventually. Cool. All right, everybody. I appreciate it. Um, yeah. Thanks so much for your time, and I will talk to you guys all soon.
Thank you, Toasty. Have a good night, brother.
Thanks, everybody. You too, Norman.